the word, let's study the book of Job. All right, but in order to do that, I want you to turn to your index and look at these, so you see its placement in the Bible. It's important, I think, to see this. First off, of course, we have the Pentateuch in Genesis. We've got Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And what we're going to see is it's these books that give the Jews. Remember, the Bible it's the story of the Jews. There's not a lot written about China in the Bible, not a lot written about Japan or the Philippines. Sorry, there's just not a lot in the Bible about, or America, frankly, for that reason, unless we are Babylon, which would be a scary thing, but that's always, anyway. But the point is that it's a story about how God has worked with the Jewish people to provide humanity with a Redeemer. All right, so that's the basic story of the Bible. And so in Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, we have really what some have said is this is what provides the moral compass for all people. The moral compass for the Jews. And of course, the law is given in Leviticus and then repeated again in Deuteronomy, which means second law. It's stated again here. And so this is the moral compass. And then we have in these books, you would call it the national life for the people. We got Joshua when the children finally come into the promised land, and then we have that period of the Judges and Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel, the Kings, the Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther. Here we got Ruth and we got Esther. I just appreciate that, having Ruth and Esther in our class, and every one of you when I do a lesson, you're judges, and so I'm kidding. All right, so this is the national life of the people. And then we go into what we call the books of experience. And the books of experience, the poetic books, some call this wisdom literature. All right, Job, Psalm, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon. And then we have the prophetical books. And you know me, I am always thrilled by the books of prophecy. As a matter of fact, I was really intent on going into the book of Haggai or Zechariah. And then I thought, well, my brother is teaching on the book of Job, and I didn't want him to leave me behind, you know. So I figured that. But so we're going to focus on these, and notice the first book of the poetical books, or it's also called the wisdom literature here, is the book of Job. All right, the book of Job. That's what we're looking at when we're in this section of Scripture. So we have these wisdom books. We got Job. We have Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon. Now, some of you know a little bit about these books, but they're called wisdom literature. In other words, they're teaching you how to have wisdom. You need wisdom to know how to, if you were going to complete this, now I guess you would say, oh, here you go, Dennis, trying to guess what the teacher is thinking, to come up with a one-word summary of the kind of wisdom that you would learn from the book of Job. You would need wisdom to know how to, what, in the book of Job?
Live.
Actually, that's not quite right.
Die.
No, it's not really about death. I'm doing it. Karen's going like this. She's going, I know. Oh, come on. When I put the word there, it's going to be so obvious to you. Thank you, Fausto. What? Say it again, Fausto.
Suffer.
You need wisdom to know how to suffer. Wisdom literature. This is what Job provides us with, wisdom to know how to suffer. All right, we're going to get into that. Now, I don't want to leave this behind because now you're on a roll. All right, so when you look at the book of Psalms, Psalms gives us wisdom as to know how to
praise God.
Praise God. Oh, rats.
Act. I know the next one.
I know the next one.
Jim had his eyes closed. I'd let him have that one. All right, I mean, so this is what wisdom literature is about. All right, Job gives us wisdom as to how to suffer. The Psalms gives us wisdom in how to praise or worship God. Proverbs gives us wisdom about how to behave. Very good. How to act. And now this is one that's interesting here. This one here about Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes gives us wisdom to know how to. Now, if you don't know what's in the book of Ecclesiastes, it's tough. But maybe we need to study. What's that?
Learn from experience.
Learn from experience. You know, And listen, I didn't do this on my own. You can't blame this on me. But I did. I thought it made sense when I thought about the book of Ecclesiastes, because it talks about how to be satisfied. It talks about, and ultimately the conclusion is, live with your wife and be at peace with God. And that's how to enjoy life.
Can't have both.
He looked out and what's that?
Can't have both. Live with your life in peace.
Oh, in peace. Can't do them both? Wow. Song of Solomon. Song of Solomon gives us wisdom to know what? Wisdom to know how to love. Very good. See, hey, you guys are great. But this is great. This is what we need to know as we hit the book of Job. We are being given wisdom to know how to suffer. All right? So wisdom in suffering. And that's what this book is about. And so, we already did that. Sorry. It says it this way. Job presents the problem of pain and suffering. God is seen as sovereign. Man is seen on his face before God, and the theme seems to be woe throughout the whole book. That's interesting. In Psalms, it's the problem of prayer and worship. God is seen as the Holy One. Man is seen before the throne of God, and the theme is worship and praise. All right? In the book of Proverbs, the problem is the problem of conduct. God is seen as all-wise. Man is seen as receiving instruction, and the theme, of course, is wisdom as we deal with all of our behaviors. The book of Ecclesiastes, the book of Ecclesiastes is the problem of meaning and significance. God is seen as the creator. Man is seen as looking for satisfaction under the sun. And the theme seems to be why. If this book was written by Solomon, he's done everything, and yet he hasn't found satisfaction, which is an interesting problem. In the Song of Solomon, the problem is the problem of love. God is seen as the lover of his people, and man is seen in a love relationship, and the theme seems to be a wedding there. And so as we deal with these books, I just want you to see where we're coming from, and we're talking about the problem of pain and suffering. God is seen as sovereign. Man is seen on his face before God, and so we go into this theme. But there are certain things about the book I want you to see, because we'll be pointing these out. There's beautiful, beautiful things in the book of Job, and people often miss it when they only see Job's suffering. The book paints a beautiful picture of patience. The Greek word is hupomone, which describes the trait of one who is able to abide under the weight of trials. From the patience of Job, we learn that it means to maintain fidelity to God even under great trials, in which we don't even understand what is happening. Job didn't understand what was happening. He asked questions of God, and God didn't ever answer his questions. But he still was patient. He endured under the weight, a great weight. He still endured. He's an incredible example. The book also prepares the way for the coming of Jesus Christ. When Job was written, it was prophetic. And you know me, I'm always loving this stuff because it was written long ago. We'll talk about when it was written, but it was written long before Christ. But it presents a prophetic, it presents the fact that there's a Redeemer coming. There is a mediator who is coming. And his coming is anticipated in several ways. Job longs for a mediator between him and God. Job 9:33, there's no umpire. This is from the New American Standard. He calls it an umpire. There's no umpire between us who may lay his hand upon us both. He was talking with his friends at this point. We need a mediator. We need somebody here who really knows the truth. And this is anticipatory of Jesus Christ who understands where we are, what we're doing, why we do what we do. What's the meaning? What is our motivation? God understands all that, and Job is saying, I want somebody here who knows what's going on, because he couldn't present his arguments to his friends. His friends were nailing him, but they were nailing him incorrectly, and God nailed the friends later on. Job 33:23, if there's an angel as a mediator, an angel means 1 cent. We need 1 cent as a mediator for him, 1 out of 1,000 to remind a man what is right for him. And if there is anything that is anticipatory of Jesus Christ, it's the fact that Jesus reminds man of what is right for man. The book prepares the way for the coming of Jesus Christ. His coming is anticipated in several ways. He longs for a mediator between him and God, and Jesus is one. He is that mediator. 1 Timothy 2, 5 through 7. For there is one God and one mediator also between God and men, the man Christ.